Hello and welcome. I'm Em from Studio M. If you are here, you are either one of my current students or you are somebody who is training to be a Pilates instructor and you're wanting to learn all things reformer, cueing, confidence, becoming the instructor that you want to be. So before we get started on our footwork today, we're going to run through footwork. I want to give you a couple of tips on how you can find more confidence in your teaching, find ways to memorize the routine that you create better, and also find ways to find your voice. So, tip number one, what I want you to do today is to literally visualize, wherever you are in the world, literally visualize your whole room is filled with clients on reformers. Because when you start teaching, you are going to be in a room of maybe 3 people to 14 people, depending on the size of your studio. So if you haven't taught in front of groups of people before, I want you to start practicing now, because it is the most scary thing, getting in front of all of these people and thinking that they're judging you, especially when the anxiety hits you, you get all sweaty, you forget your words, you forget the next exercise. I want to train you now how to deal with that when and if that does happen for you. Okay, so you're going to start pretending from now to train your brain that you are already teaching people. So look at your room and visualize however many reformers you can fit in there. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3. And put someone on them in your head. Maybe it's an older guy, a younger girl, whatever it is, okay? If you can't visualize, which a lot of us can't, it's totally normal, grab a piece of paper and put it in a spot where you can physically see it, so that you can think that in that spot where that paper is, there is a reformer there. Okay, so you can start speaking in front of your class. And today when I run you through footwork, I want you to pause the video after you've learnt one thing with me, and I want you to say it to the room. I want you to literally get up and walk around as if people are in here. So watch what I'm doing. I'm walking around, I'm talking to all of you invisible people in here who are not invisible. You're beautiful and stunning and not invisible at all to anybody. But I'm pretending you're all here. I'm looking over here. I'm trying to catch your attention over here to make sure that everyone's listening and engaged. So today we are going to go through our footwork. The springs that we're going to have on our reformers before you lay down and get into footwork are 3 reds as a base layer. A little bit more is 3 reds and a blue. A little bit more is 3 reds and a blue. And if you are somebody who works footwork all the time and does Pilates a lot or gym, all springs on the bottom row. So I'll just say that again. I always repeat it twice because definitely half the class has not heard you yet. So 3 red springs is a base layer, 3 reds and a blue for a little bit more, and all springs on the bottom run if that's something you've done before and you know that you have got quite strong quads. We are working our quadricep muscles here. Okay, pause the video there. I'm going to tell you about your quadriceps. So we're working our quadriceps. So your clients are going to feel it here. All right, so do you remember what your quadriceps are? Say them out loud for me quickly. Okay, if you said your vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedialis, and on top of your vastus intermedialis is your rectus femoris. Now those first 3 that I mentioned, they all attach onto your femur bone in here, okay? Up towards your pelvis, but on your femur bone. And then they insert down below your patella, your knee, on your tibial tuberosity down here. So they come through a patella tendon, they all merge together, they turn into a patella tendon, and then they stick down here below your knee. So what action do they do? If you said knee extension, you are correct. Knee extension. So when we're doing our leg press, we're doing knee extension. So your quadriceps are working, and they are going to be the main drivers here, because it's quite hard to get your glutes. Even though your glutes are hip extenders as well, it's quite hard to get glute engagement when you're laying down. When we're standing up doing deadlifts and squats, absolutely you get a lot of glute engagement, but here it's mostly quads. Okay, so that's our quadriceps. Now that rectus femoris I said that comes along the top, it's also a hip flexor. Okay, it's a knee extender and a hip flexor. So you will feel in your hip flexor here a little bit of work as well. So Pause the video, practice introducing the spring loads, and then come back. The second thing we're going to talk about is your foot bar. So just check, everybody, that your foot bar is on the second hold down. Now, every reformer has a slightly different setup. But for here, just copy what I say or set it up for the way that your reformer is set up. So everybody, we've just done our spring load. Can you just make sure that your foot bar is at a comfortable height for you? If you're not sure, pop your hand up, I'll come over to you. But usually it's on about the second hole here. Now, if you are somebody who is super short or super strong, you can pop your foot bar up all the way up here. Now watch what happens here. So don't say this, stop the class now, you're now learning from me. Watch what happens. See how I'm super, super cramped. If somebody's tail, I'll move my arms out the way. If somebody gets into this position because they are really strong and they want this shorter range meaning if I was standing here, look how close my bum is to the ground. So this is a deep squat. When the reformer foot bar is down here, it's not as deep of a squat. When it's all the way down here, it's definitely not deep. So some people might really enjoy this away because they don't need to work as hard to extend, particularly if they've had knee replacements or hip replacements or ankle pain. Okay, so if we're all the way up here, we just need to make sure for those clients that their hips are not lifted, because that will happen if they don't have the flexibility in their low back and their hamstrings to get into their neutral spine position. So just watch that. Okay, so coming back, let's do this all again together. Okay, everybody, so could you please pop your 3 red springs on for your footwork? If you want a little bit more, 3 reds and a blue. A little bit more than that, 3 reds and a yellow, which is your whole spring load down the bottom. Remembering that if they're old reformers, pop all the springs up the top if they want to. You can give that cue. Okay, just checking that your foot bar's at the right height. Second hold down from the top. We're going to come down and we're going to get into our footwork now. Okay, so coming down to lie on your back. We've already been through core engagement, so we're not doing that again. Just a simple little cue. Palms are coming down flat onto the carriage below you. We're going to have a slight engagement of our core the whole time, just so she's actively working. And our shoulders are relaxed and our face and head are relaxed. If you feel any tension throughout this series within your shoulders or your spine, we'll drop the weight down. It does not mean you are not strong. It means that there's too much tension running through your spine. If we drop the weight down, we can still work just as hard by going a little bit longer. So we'll inhale to prepare. Exhale, push the carriage away. Inhale, coming back in. Exhale, pushing away. Now finding your own breath pattern here. Because breath can be super, super useful, but in this situation when we're lying flat, we're not curling and we're not needing to brace our torso, the breath work is not as important. The breath work here would be important if you were trying to get them to notice their core, their entire trunk, having that slight squeeze as they extend the carriage away, or maybe you're trying to teach your students about mind-muscle control. So you think as you're exhaling, you should feel your quad. So you're trying to connect that exhale with a muscle movement. If you're doing that, that's fine, it has a purpose. Otherwise, if you're just saying inhale, exhale, people are like, they're done with that. They don't need that the whole time, okay? So I usually cue it in at the start, then I let it be. So we've just done about 10 leg presses here. Now I didn't cue you guys in for our footwork setup, did I? So we want our feet, our knees, and our hips in line with each other. We're going to extend the carriage away, draw the carriage back in. Do that about 10 times. Then we might pause in the middle, pausing halfway. Holding still here. Then we might add in some pulses. So just out and in. Out and in. Fantastic. All right, we're going to add in counting now. So we're going to do that whole thing again. Firstly, I want you to have a go. So press pause on the video. Have a go at cueing in your heels on the foot bar, toes in line with your hips and your toes in line with your knees and your hips. You might do 10 to 15 double leg presses. You might do a pause in the middle and then you might do some pulses. Pause here and then come back. Okay, now I'm going to cue you in with the counting, okay? So You've just had a practice. I'm going to cue you in without giving you any teaching tips here. We're just going to do it, and I want you to listen to my counting cues. Welcome everybody. Let's get started with our footwork today. So we're going to go 3 red springs, or 3 red and blue, 3 reds and a blue yellow, which is all the springs on the bottom run. If you do Pilates all the time and you feel like your quads are really dying for a good burn. Okay, so just making sure your foot bar is on the second hold down, or a little bit higher if you are shorter like me, or you are a bit of an athlete and you want to get that really low range of motion in your squat. So let's come down, lay on our back, all the way down, palms on the carriage, shoulders are relaxed. If you feel any tension through your spine or your shoulders, let's drop your weight down, pop your hand up and I'll come straight over. We want our feet in line with our knees and in line with our hips. Okay, try not to have too much tension with your toes tracking towards your knees. Just let them sit where they feel comfortable, or you might end up with a little bit of a shin splint. All right, we're going to inhale to prepare. As you exhale, engaging your core, feeling your core muscles squeezing, push the carriage away. Inhale as you draw back in. Exhale, push the carriage away. Continue here. I want you to find your own breathing pattern now. Find what works for you. If you'd like to close down your eyes, you can. But I just want you feeling the tops of your thighs starting to get warm. If you can squeeze your bum a little bit as well, just for that extra engagement like your core, please do. In 3, we're going to hold it halfway. In 2, we're holding halfway. In 1, we extend all the way out. We come back in halfway. We're holding still here. Isometric hold for 10. Continue holding here. In 7, we're going to start our pulses. In 6, in 4, 2, and pulsing. 2 seconds out, 2 seconds in. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Small little pulses. We're not going fast here. Really, really slow. You'll have people going so fast here. So can everyone just slow down the pace for me? Thank you. Perfect. We're here for another 5. In 4, we're going to pick up the pace. In 3, 2, 1. Double time. In and out. In and out. All you speed racers will be happy here. Nice and fast pulses. Good work. We're here for 5. In 4, we're going to hold it still. In 3, 2, and 1. Holding still halfway. If you're feeling that little bit of a shake, that little bit of the glute engagement, that is perfect. Let's keep our hips really, really still. Place both of the fingers, your long fingertips, onto your bones at the front there. They're your ASIS, anterior superior iliac crest. We're going to shift our weight into our left leg. So squeeze your left glute, your left quad. We're going to lift our right leg into either tabletop or point your toe up to the sky for a little bit more. A little bit kinder, bend it back down into tabletop. We're going to swap legs now without moving our hips. So place your right heel down, squeeze into your right leg, transfer your weight. We'll lift our left leg. If you would like a little bit more, point your toe up to the sky. Draw leg back down into tabletop and place your heel down. Continue here. We have 6 more on each side in your own timing. Now the things I want you focusing on here, making sure those hips are not moving. No movement at all. What you will feel underneath your hands are your hip flexors squeezing. Yeah, if you're digging your hands in. All right, 1 more each side by the looks of it. Everyone's in slightly different timing. So let's finishing off on your right leg, and then we'll follow it with the left leg, and we'll pause there. Last round of pulses here. Oh my goodness, I can see everyone's burning. Pulsing here for 10. In 4, we'll extend in 3, 2, 1, all the way out. And all the way back in. Wonderful work, everybody. Shake your ankles out. Pop your palms back down. Place your feet nice and wide. Let's do a big windscreen wiper from side to side, just to loosen up through our lumbar, our lower back, low spine. You might feel a few cracks here. Okay, bringing your feet back into where they were, hips width distance apart. We're going to flow down onto our tippy toes. So you see how that flows straight away. We go from heels, we simply slide down onto our tippy toes, and we're ready to do the same thing with our toes on the foot bar. And then you can do the exact same flow with your heels wide and with your toes wide. So you might do your leg presses out and in for 10 or 15, your isometric hold, your pulses, and then you might actually like to add in that weight transfer like I did, which is really good for your hip stability and control and your core. So I want you to have a go of all of that teaching to the class from start to finish. Start with your introduction to footwork, your spring load, your bar setup. Engaging your core can just be simple because you would have already run through that. Then you'll go through your heels on the bar, your toes on the bar. Then you might do heels wide, toes wide. And you might actually like to do your Pilates V. I didn't run through that, but Pilates V with your, I'll just show you quickly. So I would usually do it in this way. Everything needs to flow. So you do your heels, your whole heel section. Then you slide down to your toes, do your whole toe section. Okay, then you could do your Pilates V because our toes are already on the bar. So Pilates V is our toes are out wide, our heels are together. Yep. And then from here, you might slide your toes straight out to the edges, do your wide-legged toe set, and then slide back up to your heels and do your heel set. So see how everything flows a bit more naturally. Otherwise, you've got half the people on their toes, half the people on their heels. So have fun with that. Write down a little class plan for yourself on what you would like to do. It's your style, it's your vibe, it's what you want to bring in, okay? And if you want to start playing around with props, you've got your squishy ball, see how you could use that, make it up, and then teach it to your invisible room. You've got your ring, yeah? You've got ankle weights. You've got your stretchy band you can pop on your thighs. But whenever you use a prop, make sure you have an intention. Okay, make sure you know why you're using it. Otherwise, you're using it mindlessly and it might not actually be useful for your clients. So have some fun with that. Write in the comments or send me a message if you would like any further tips around that. But I hope that you got something out of that, even just in terms of being able to practice speaking in front of the class, making it okay when you stuff up, being kind to yourself. Please, if you make a mistake, don't go, oh, you suck, Emily. You are absolutely a loser. You're never going to be good at this. Go, thank you, Em, for being here today. Thank you for giving this a go. You just did your best and it was awesome. And even your stuff up was cool. You know what I mean? We have to change the way that we talk to ourselves. Otherwise, we will be stuck forever in this circle of self-deprecation. And people can see that. Yeah, they can see that written all over our faces. They can see the fear. They can see the anxiety. And that's okay if they see that. There's no problem. But I want you to start from this moment, finding a way to just be you, to know that you are going to make mistakes and that is okay. And people will love you anyway, okay? Because you are awesome. You are you and you're showing up being you, not somebody else. All right, have fun with it. Let's talk soon.